Welcome to West of Tulsa. I'm C.J. Ward. We are broadcasting from Ventura, California, and we have half the crew about here today. It's just me.
50% of crew.
50% of the crew. Dan is at the controls, as always, and we got Gabe here as well.
Yeah.
And we've actually, it's been kind of an odd couple of weeks because we actually haven't been in studio. We've been rebuilding the studio.
Yeah, we've been here, but we just haven't been on camera.
Taping shows or anything. But so, Dan, fill everybody in on, because you're the technical guru around here. So tell us what we've been doing. New cameras and
we have 6 new cameras. They're the little black magic. You guys can't see them on screen, but they're really, really small, like a little bit bigger than GoPros, but they're 4K. They're really nice high-end cameras. I can control them all from here. We've got a new switcher. We were switching on a computer. Now we're switching on an ATEM switcher, a Blackmagic switcher.
Nice.
So we're looking good. It's like we have everything we need to make everything hapen.
From here, it looks like you're about to play the piano.
I am.
It has a nice look to it.
It's sort of like, flickering light piano thing here. Exactly.
Well, it's a nice setup. I mean, I love it. It sounds good.
Yes, everything's...
Now, Gabe's in charge. He's we call him the czar. He's whatever kind of scary names we can give him. But do you approve of all this?
Oh, absolutely. I absolutely approve of
I think
all
it looks
this.
good.
Yeah. No, it looks good. Sounds good. It's making our lives a little bit easier, We're still not making any money with the show, so please, if you want to send us money, do that.
They'll pay for some of this.
Yeah, but it just because we all have day jobs and we all need to, work our schedules around this show, or vice versa. But it's allowing us to have a little bit more of a, peaceful life, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, the real test isn't what we think about it. It's going to be curious to what kind of response we get from you.
Yeah.
The listeners, the viewers, to find out if they like the look and the sound of this. But, Dan, I think you've done a great job. This thing looks great. It sounds great. And you're so particular about the angles and
yes,
and whether it's perfectly focused. And
soft picture. People don't like watching that.
No.
It's interesting, though. Gabe was telling me before we started taping this, though, that we're getting real engagement on listeners, on podcast listeners, more so than people watching the YouTube show.
So we spent all this money on cameras for an audio podcast.
So it could be out of focus, right? I mean, if it's out of focus, who's going to know, right?
Yeah, you could be half naked if you wanted to, but not.
Wow.
No, yeah.
Wow, you already went there. We're like 2 minutes in.
I was about to say.
Already got to nudity.
Oh,
wow.
my gosh. But that sounds like a segue to me, because one of the things we were going to talk about was so we taped a show with all this new gear.
Yes.
And there were some on the team who believed that what our discussion was just inappropriate,
yes.
right?
Yes.
So we're not airing it at this point until we can clear the air a little bit.
Yeah, it was a controversial show. Even amongst our internal crew, it was controversial.
Yeah.
It was like, ooh, wow.
And it was your fault.
It was my fault.
I mean, I personally think we should air it, but hey, we can put it in the vault.
I think it boiled down to one tiny little thing. I'm sorry. Maybe if you air the show, you'll know exactly what we're talking about. But I thought that was a good way to put it.
If anybody's listening to this or watching this, please comment. Do you want to see what this little thing was about that is causing controversy at the show?
And we should give some context to this, because we should have some context.
Sure.
Part of that show that has not aired and may never air was just a tiny part of it was about haters.
Yeah.
And why do people hate?
Yes.
And we had one of our ideas about why certain guys, we think most of them are guys, is because of, I have to be careful, I want to air this show.
Yeah.
But I think part of it had to do with part of their anatomy not measuring up.
Wow, you just basically explaining what the problem was.
But I didn't say the word, and I think it's the word that made some people uncomfortable, right?
Okay.
It
wasn't a dirty word.
No, it's a medical term.
True.
What was that?
Whoa, that's a Harley.
That was someone's Harley.
That was definitely a Harley.
I think
they
went past because they want to be in West of Tulsa.
Or they're getting away from us.
Yeah, maybe they know what the show was about.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's enough about the show that never aired, that may air at some point. Unless you guys want to elaborate a little bit more on it.
Unless some of the other people's, Beth, has a change of heart. So we'll see. We'll see.
Oh my god.
Helm seems to be on Beth's side. Hey, he's always on her side, so
Yeah.
I think they're in cahoots.
Yeah.
We'll have to take another vote.
Without
And
them.
see- yeah, without them around, we'll take another vote.
Yeah.
Oh.
But you know what though? That does bring up another segue to engagement with our viewers and followers and stuff. You know, people have been commenting on a lot of stuff that we've been posting, and a lot of people have been, you know, I don't want to say arguments, but they've been stating their case on these posts, and it's really interesting to see I don't know if you call it dynamics of people in general just talking about a certain subject or whatever, car related.
Well, the one that I think has had the most recently is one with Dana Newquist, who was on.
Yeah.
And he was talking about how difficult, because Dana has restored so many cars.
Yeah.
But his topic was that there's a real problem if you're finding guys who do body work, metal work, working on gauges, chrome, plating, all that kind of stuff. And that sparked this great conversation back and forth.
Yeah. I mean, from every angle, one for the customer, one for the body shop guy, one for the industry. I mean, people had, and you know what? I can't argue with any of these people. They all have valid points.
Yeah.
It's just interesting to see that kind of like, you know, feedback all in one area, just off one video that we thought was just like a little tidbit of.
Well, this was on Instagram, right?
Yeah,
I think you were
yeah.
telling me.
On our
So,
reel, yeah.
so explain the context, because I haven't seen it. You told me this had like super high engagement, like 10,000, 15,000 comments or views or something.
Views, yeah. The comments I think were in the hundreds or whatever, but a lot of people were going back for. Of course, people get into these arguments, these heated arguments that they're right and the other person's wrong and this and that, and it's all speculation, I think. But you know, there's a lot of people are speaking from there are people that like literally own body shops, or their son works at a body shop, or a guy who's restored cars himself, or you know, or people that got screwed over by a company or a shop.
And I don't think it was a question whether Dana was right or wrong. I think everybody was, for the most part, agreeing that Dana's comment was correct, that finding people who do this anymore is very difficult. I think what the debate is the reasons for it and why that has happened, right? I mean, why things have changed over the last 20, 30, 40 years.
And I don't think anybody's actually wrong, because it sounds to me that everybody's speaking from their own experience, and that goes back to their own stories. Right. I'm sure somebody's got a story about dealing with a body shop or whatever, or restoring their own car or doing the work themselves. I know plenty of people have learned to paint and do body work themselves because they can't take it to a shop, or they don't want to, you know. So I think it's all valid. It's
totally.
Just, you know, and that people are stating their case, and I think that's good.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, but that's the whole point of what we're here for. We want to bring up these topics that sometimes are uncomfortable. Yeah. And talk about it.
Yeah. Well, Gabe, weren't you mentioning, Gabe, also that the engagement came from some posts that were commenting on the thread, and then it kind of took on a life of its own?
Yeah.
Is that sort of what happened?
Yeah, one guy says a comment, or girl, and someone says, no, that's not it. And then somebody says, no. They're going back and forth. And then next thing, I think there was one particular guy, you said something, and then like a bunch of people ganged up against that guy. I'm like, okay, whatever, you know. But hey, like I said, I don't think anyone's right or wrong in the situation. They're just explaining from their own point of view, and I think that's okay. You know, I think it's healthy to explain. Everybody's gonna have a difference of opinion on.
Well, that's what social media is for. I mean, you know.
Yeah, that's not for bullying.
Cyberbullying.
Yeah, cyberbullying.
Exactly.
Please don't bully us. Yeah.
I mean, for the most part, though, everybody's been great.
Yeah. Support's been great. You know, we've been getting followers. Helm just went to the Hagerty meet for the Benz and something meet down at Van Nuys, and he got a lot of love out there.
So people recognize him. They recognized his face from West of Tulsa.
I know.
And he was getting yelled at and stuff like, "Come on over here!"
Yeah. They were like, "Yeah, he's the guy from West of Tulsa or whatever," you know. But he even said like a lot of people, you know, like boots on the ground. He was like getting direct feedback from people saying that how much they love the content, and which was really encouraging, because we want to hear from people saying, hey, does this stuff matter to you guys? Do you guys care about this kind of stuff?
Yeah.
You know,
was the blooper reel real? Was it a real blooper reel?
I think they.
I think they realized it's
Helm's
that was
not that
the
good of
real
an actor.
deal.
I mean, that was a pretty legit him screwing up.
I'm going to throw it out there again. I know I pushed it for weeks, but if you haven't seen Helm's outtakes, you have to go see it. It's on West of Tulsa.
Yeah.
It's just called Helm's Outtakes. And it's hilarious. So Beth and I, when we get depressed, and it's like, oh, let's watch Helm's Outtakes. Cheers us up every time.
Well, one thing we did talk about on the last show that apparently we can't air, Beth, we did talk about Helm, and we talked the state of Helm, right? And how he's done really, really well. He was so nervous to be on camera and talking, and he was very nervous the first time we recorded. I'll give him that. But now he's just like, thinks he's going to be on Johnny Carson. Well, not that Johnny Carson. But
He could take over Tonight Show pretty soon.
Yeah.
Johnny Carson's dead.
That was my... whatever, Dan.
He's been dead, and he's been dead a long time.
You know what's funny, Dan, that anybody under, I don't know, 40 or 50 doesn't even know who
They're
that
going,
is.
who the hell's Johnny Carson?
Google Johnny
Right.
Carson.
Probably. You're probably right. Yeah.
Who does Tonight Show now?
don't watch
Jimmy Fallon.
Jimmy
Jimmy
Fallon
Fallon. Okay,
does,
good.
yeah.
Oh, boy. I was starting to sound really old there for a second if I wouldn't have come up with it.
Which young whippersnapper does the Tonight Show now, CJ?
Oh, welcome to the Tonight Show.
Oh, boy.
Tonight Show trivia. Do you know who was doing Tonight Show before Johnny Carson?
Yeah.
Before Johnny Carson?
Sadly,
Before Johnny Carson.
I think I know, but I won't say.
I thought he was the man.
No, there was somebody before Johnny Carson, and Johnny Carson did it for what, 30 years, something like that. So this would take you back to the early '60s or late '50s when he took over. So any idea?
Jack Paar.
Right on the money, Jack Paar.
Because I'm old.
The
I
two
know
old
these
guys
things.
figured that one
I
out,
know
yeah.
these things. Although I never watched it, I can say.
I never knew that.
Yeah.
Do you know what? Do you know?
See what happens when you hang out with old farts like us? You
Hey,
learn
learn
that
a
kind
thing
of
or two.
TV trivia.
What year did Jack Paar kick off or let it, pass the mantle to Johnny? Do you remember?
That's what I was saying. I think it was probably early '60s, maybe mid '60s.
Because that's when I'm born, so
Yeah,
I wouldn't know.
No, I wouldn't know either. But I think it was somewhere like that, 63-ish. We'll have to Google that one. But Gabe's like, what the hell? What happened to this show?
All right.
What happened to this show?
What are you guys talking about? What are you old dudes talking about?
I learned something new. I'm good. That's
Okay,
cool.
good. All right. Okay, let's get back on track and talk about cars.
Yeah.
So what did Johnny drive? Oh, I'm sorry. I was thinking about Johnny Carson. Johnny Carson actually had, I think, a decent car collection.
I remember he had Jay Leno and Tim Allen on his show.
Yes.
And they did a burnout competition.
Yes, I do remember that.
And I think it was Tim Allen that smoked them, or so. Whoever won, I think it was Tim Allen that just like laid the fattest burnout, and then Jay Leno was just like,
He's a total car guy.
Yeah. So that was a long time ago.
All right. What other comments? Any other comments about Instagram, what people are talking about? I mean, this is kind of a state of the show, I guess, discussion.
Yeah, Gabe should tell us because he's our social media guru.
Yeah.
So he
Well,
handles all that stuff.
easy with the guru.
But they're loving Helm.
Yeah, they love
Everybody loves Helm. They love
and-
Beth. They
yeah.
hate you. They hate me.
Yes.
And Dan is like a...
Well, they don't know who you are,
I'm on the fence.
and they're calling out Dan for not being a non-car
car
guy.
guy.
So they're like, he's a secret car guy. Stop faking it.
Yeah, he knows more than us, but
Yeah,
he's a
yeah.
non-car guy.
Yeah.
I'm a truck guy. That's
Yeah.
all. I'm a truck guy.
No, actually, I ran into Christina Jimenez.
We had on the show a little while ago.
Yes, and she said that a lot of people have hit her up from the show, watching the show when she was on the show, about when she talked about the speed dating for car people. Part of the show.
Yeah.
And she said like 7 or 8 people hit her up. Was like, you should really do this. So I think she's really going to consider it. And I'm totally going to take Helm to it because the guy
Consider
needs to
what?
find
Were
it.
they going to do a show about it? Or
No. A speed dating for car people. So she, whatever event she might put together.
I could totally see Christina doing that. She's the right person. She's super social. She knows women and men in the car circles. It'd be perfect for her.
Oh.
Yeah.
She could be the Patty Stanger of the car world, right?
The what?
Yeah.
Patty Stanger, she's got that new show. It's like a matchmaking show. It's on, I don't know. I've been seeing promos for it all over social media.
Don't No.
Yeah,
now
I
that
haven't
you
seen
said
it
that,
either.
my phone's picking it up and probably it's going to show up on my feed now. So thanks, Dan.
Sorry about that. You know who I'm talking about, CJ, right?
No, I have no idea.
Oh, it's a matchmaker show. It was on Bravo or something, but she's, it's like a Real Housewives audience, but maybe she came from Real Housewives. I don't know, but she's a matchmaker woman, like legit, and has her own show. It's pretty crazy. But I can see Christina totally becoming that of the car world. And she'd probably make a lot of money too.
So if she starts it, we have her back on and
Have her promote it. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I told her, I was like, that's what she should do. She's like, if she's going to really do this, I was like, come back on the show. Well, let's talk about it. Because I think a lot of people will be interested. Because I know plenty of car people who are, well, I pretty much only know car people. But that would probably get on board with that,
I think it's a brilliant idea.
yeah, and it
it's
would
really
add
smart.
It would add a whole new meaning to the name Lane Drifter.
What?
Yeah, it would give you a whole new meaning.
Is this another thing where Beth's going to have a
No,
problem?
No.
Is there something inappropriate coming?
No, I'm not. Look, after my last experience, I'm not going to touch that with a 10-foot pole because I want this show to air.
But slang, what is slang a lane drifter? What does that mean?
I don't know.
Sorry, Christina.
I'm not going to elaborate anymore. But I think it's a great idea. I hope she does it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think it'd be fun. I think it'd be
so.
fun.
I think so.
Maybe we'll go shoot that interview people that are
I think that'd be great. I think that'd be
How
great.
awesome would it be? It's like, I met my wife at this speed dating for car people.
That'd
And
be
she was
cool.
driving this, and I was driving to that, and yeah.
I think that's a great
Yeah.
idea.
Now, would you do it? You'd show up in your cars, right? Whatever you're driving.
I would hope so. It'd be
I
sucky
mean,
if
I
we
would
took a
imagine
bus
you'd
to
have
that.
to do it. Yeah.
Took an
Yeah,
Uber.
if a woman's going to date a guy, she needs to know what kind of car he drives, right?
Well, here's the thing: when you say speed dating, there has been speed dating before, but they always did it at like a restaurant or something where you'd sit at a table and then you'd sit at the table for 5 minutes and talk to the person. Then you'd rotate to a different table. You've seen these on comedy shows.
Yeah,
sure.
Okay, that's when you think of speed dating.
Yeah.
But now you could add a whole new dimension to
Well, they could do
speed dating.
They could do drag racing to see who's
Yeah.
going to pay for the first date, or I mean, the
Yeah.
possibilities
I
are
love-
endless, right?
You could get crazy stuff.
What do you think? What do you think, Gabe?
I think that's a bit over the top, but all right. I mean,
That's what's
look,
going to happen now that you've said that. But
yeah. I mean, I was thinking more of like a cars and coffee type of like hanging out. I mean, just
that's-
so your car, but you guys went way for the.
Yeah.
yeah, we went for the
You're talking about like literal speed dating.
pedal to
like
the metal.
we're going
Yeah,
fast.
Exactly.
Right.
Speed dating.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, it is the battle of the sexes,
that a-
so why
Is that
not?
a double entendre?
I could
don't
hear
know.
Christina saying, "Look, if he can't keep up with me, he's not for me."
She's a canyon
Yeah.
runner, so
Well,
yeah.
exactly.
Hey, she did say on the show that when we were asking her about dating in the car scene, and she's like, it's kind of interesting because like the attention, she's like, I'm gonna give attention to my car on the weekend. I'm gonna do car events. If the guy is not down with that, that's gonna be a problem. Which more of a reason why you should
Yeah.
date if you're
Right.
that into your car.
I could see that. Yeah.
That's why I don't go to car shows because my wife is not into car shows,
Right.
unless there's something in it for her, like a new purse or something. I don't know, but.
Yeah.
Do you have to buy your purse when you're on every Sunday when you go to a car show? You got to come.
No,
back with
actually,
something.
my biggest fear is that I got to buy her a car because she likes nice cars.
Oh, okay.
What is she driving these days? What's her ride right
Audi
now?
Q7.
So you drive the Tesla. She drives the Audi. You drive the Tesla.
We're supposed to drive the Tesla to save
Yeah.
money on gas
Yeah.
or whatever. But since I got rid of my truck, which I'm sad.
Then you're driving the Tesla most of the time. She's driving the Audi.
Yeah, unless
That
I'm
makes
driving,
sense.
my RX-8 or whatever,
Yeah.
But yeah, she's driving the Q7. But she wants the G-Wagon, which I don't know.
Those
we'll
are
see.
nice.
Yeah, they're nice. They're small though. For as big as that they are, they're small inside, I think. But they're cool looking.
Yeah.
So.
Can you take those off? I mean, I know they.
Oh yeah.
As
Are they
good off-roaders?
As
or
a
they
matter
just
of fact,
posers?
Armin, who we featured his car in the wagon show, he's tied in with these guys because he has I think he's had a couple, but he has a G-Wagon, and the guys at Benz Tech down in Bellflower or Lakewood or something like that, they lift them, they put the big tires, and they go off-roading. They have you check out their Instagram. It's pretty crazy. They go off-roading with but I think it's cool. To me, that's the only way a G-Wagon should be. It shouldn't be with like all like the fat wheels.
Pimped out.
Yeah.
street,
It's got to have like the knobbies on it, lifted.
Well, that's good
fitted.
to hear.
Yeah.
That's good to hear. Yeah,
It's
okay.
totally cool. I think it's awesome.
That means when I see a G-Wagon now, it's usually driving through Montecito.
Yeah.
And it's, cruising along. and
It's someone who has a
But they
lot of
look like-
zeros behind their name too.
Exactly. And when you put that kind of money into something, are you ready to put big knobbies on it and take it onto a big trail and smash it into rocks and stuff? That's so. I guess there are people who do it.
Look, nothing against people that want to be that baller in Montecito or Beverly Hills and driving, your G-Wagon on 22s on rubber bands. That's cool too.
Right.
That's not what I'm into, but I agree with you. Taking a $100,000, $200,000 rig, although it's funny because a Raptor is $100,000 now, so I mean we go there on
it's
the
all
same side.
relative,
that's
right?
true.
But you can get a used G-Wagon for $60,000-$70,000 now.
Still.
Yeah, still. But yeah, lifting it, putting knobbies, going off road. I just think it's cool to see this.
Exactly. I feel the same way. I think it's just good that there are people who take those, do them up, get them out on the dirt.
Yep.
Well, that you bring up a good point, Gabe, that I want to bring up, being the truck guy, right? Since I love trucks and are into trucks and have had trucks.
You're not faking that truck.
I'm not faking the truck thing.
You are a truck guy?
I legit have had nice trucks. Okay. So, but the thing is, that's the thing. We talk about the price of trucks today. A new truck, I mean, what is a new Silverado 1-ton? I forgot their high trim level, like a GMC cost. It's got to be knocking on $90,000.
So expensive.
Yeah.
So the question is, like with the truck rodeo guys when we had them on here, is like, would you rather have a $40,000-$50,000 primo like 70s 80s truck, or would you spend the extra $40,000 to get the 2024 truck with all the smog crap and diesel, fluid crap and all that?
You're definitely a truck guy when you say diesel, smog crap and diesel.
Well, it's true. No, but those old trucks, guys are buying those old trucks, a lot of guys, because like I had the 2002 3/4 ton, right? And people still, I think I could sell that. If I still had that truck, I could sell it for more now than I sold it 5 years ago.
For sure.
Because people don't want all that crap on it. They want like, I control the truck and the emission system and all that stuff, not having to put fluid in and DEF and all that stuff.
Yeah.
That's a hassle.
Yeah.
Well, I know with the new trucks, I read some article 6 months, a year ago, whatever it was, that so many Americans were buying these huge trucks that they couldn't afford.
Yeah.
That they couldn't make the payments.
It's like the housing crisis.
Exactly.
It's the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, they're so expensive. They're dropping 80, 90, 100,000 and more on a truck they can't afford.
In the manufacturer's defense, I can't believe I'm going to say that, but in the defense of like the new expensive trucks, the purpose of a truck has changed. The truck used to be for work and for
farm,
duty,
ranch.
But now have people want, and I'm kind of, I fall in this category where I want to do the towing. I want to go, haul some stuff and do work in them, but I also want to take it out with the wife to dinner, or with the kids on a trip or whatever. And I do want those creature comforts, which I find very convenient. So you're kind of combining your work truck and your family car, luxury truck or whatever. So I'm not trying to justify the price because I still think the prices are ridiculous. Yeah. But, like seeing leather in a truck for the first time when I was many years younger, I was like, that's weird seeing leather in like premium leather.
Really not.
Yeah.
And instead of vinyl or carpet or cloth, I'm sorry. So I thought, that was kind of weird, but it makes sense though, because then when I had my Ram 1500 Sport, and that thing was pretty nice.
Yeah.
It was all fully appointed, and my wife loved that truck. We took it everywhere, and we could go out on a date with it and stuff like that. So, but also at the same time, if I had some rowdy, lifted, monstrosity, I think my wife would still go out with me.
But I think the real problem is, at least it is for me, is the only way you can buy a truck now, like there's no such thing as a base truck anymore. Like there's only mid-level and insane level, XLT Lariat or whatever.
Yeah.
That's the cheap truck now is $55,000, and it's just like, God dang, I want to buy a work truck.
Yeah.
What if I want to buy a work truck that's got the Duramax and it's got the heavy duty suspension, it's 3/4 ton, but I want to pay $40,000 for it or $35,000. I don't, and bare bones, roll down windows. I know no one's going to do that, but I think there's a big market out there, though. Truck rodeo proves it.
Oh, yeah.
There's a huge market out there from guys and gals who want roll-up windows, manual door locks. They don't want a freaking DVD player. They don't want a crew cab because they don't have kids to put in the back.
You said DVD player.
Well, whatever screens or what a
Bluetooth
truck screen is.
Touch screen.
How do you play video for your kid in the back seat now in a vehicle? What do you play it off of? I don't even know.
Most people do iPads now. The
built-in stuff's passe.
Yeah.
It's like built-in GPS. Right?
Yeah.
That ended with their Honda Odyssey. I think that was one of the last things they really did.
People really aren't doing that anymore.
But I will say, talking about trucks, the one reason why I think the trucks hold value for so long compared to an automobile is that, once they start dropping in value, that's when the guys who come in, who use it for work every day, come in and buy it, and they drive up the price again because, now that truck's going to go back to work again. It's going to be an electrician's truck, a plumber's truck. It's going to work on the ranch. Trucks hold value really well.
Better than cars, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They really do.
And they're more useful for a lot longer. So.
Yeah.
And I will say this, too. I mean, since I had relatives who owned a farm, sometimes the truck that was their only thing. Yeah. They had the truck, and that is what they went out to dinner in. And it was a beater, and that's still what they went out to dinner in.
Yeah.
So some of that hasn't ever changed. But
yeah, so trucks are cool.
They are cool.
Trucks are super cool. But, it's interesting also. That brings up another thing. I was just with some family relatives, and they asked me to drive them. We went out to dinner, and I drove them in there. It's a BMW. I think it's an X7. Mm-hmm. It's a big ass.
SUV.
It's like it's like a $100,000 SUV.
Yeah.
And I thought it was funny that they were still hardcore using the built-in navigation. And I was like, that seems kind of passe now. Doesn't everyone just use their phone for navigation
or CarPlay?
Like, what about you guys? If you had a fancy, like in your Tesla, does your Tesla have built-in navigation?
Yeah. That's the thing about the Tesla is like you have to because there's no CarPlay.
Okay.
Now you can find a way to use that, but the Tesla, I gotta say, is very impressive. Very impressive. I'm very impressed with the Tesla navigation. It's very good. I actually like
built-in navigation is still a usable thing.
Well, for a Tesla product,
Tesla,
it's definitely ahead of the game as far as the other manufacturers' built-in navigation. They're way behind the curve. All the big automakers, they're behind on that. So that's why CarPlay is a big bonus for them because everybody wants to use WAZE or their Apple Maps or whatever, Google Maps or whatever. But with the Tesla, the built-in one, I'd say it's pretty dang good. I like it quite a bit.
Interesting. How about you, CJ? Do you use built-in, or what do you use? Your phone?
I use the phone and
use a Thomas guide.
We take really.
Scott,
after having
use a Garmin.
Guys on,
use a Garmin.
Yeah. No, the only thing. Look, if it's Southern California, the only thing I don't need to know how to get around Southern California. What I look for is where the traffic problems are.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah. Of
and
course.
so what we use for that is we'll use Waze a little bit, but I think KABC 7, their traffic map. You guys ever seen that?
No,
I think
never
it's
used
the most
it.
accurate one out there.
Really?
Yeah. And then you turn on KNX.
It probably uses
and between the
Caltrans,
two-
huh? It probably uses Caltrans for their feed because
they probably do.
Because Caltrans probably has the most up to date.
Or CHP. I think some of them
Or
work.
CHP.
Doesn't Waze work off CHP? I think.
I got a question for you guys. If we're talking about navigation,
What's that?
if you use Google, Apple, Waze, whatever, how often do you not use the directions it tells you to use? If you do the opposite of what it tells you to do?
I'd say 30% of the time.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Really?
Sometimes, especially in the valley, in San Fernando Valley, I'll be going down there on the 101, and it'll want to take me off like down Ventura Boulevard, and I'm like, Ventura Boulevard's a zoo, and there's signals every 20 feet, and it's like, sometimes I do, sometimes I don't.
But, I'm probably about the same as you, about 30%, maybe a little bit more, because if I know where the destination I'm going to, I was like, I know there's more than one way. Or when we had like the news guys on, and they were saying like, I know ways around traffic that most people don't know because I've been through these. I know this alley is a little bit quicker. There's less traffic than going down Sunset
And where
Boulevard.
you can make right turns instead of having to worry about left turns and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, and I rarely ever use it where I put it on and say, tells me when to turn right and turn left. I rarely ever use that because, I don't know, I just have never done it. I look for those apps in the traffic because if I look at KABC's traffic and I see a red line on the 210 in Pasadena, I just know my way around that. I'm just going to go, figure out a way to round that and get back onto where I want to go. But I don't let the map tell me where to go.
What about if you've never been to the area that you're going to?
I think I just use the map, but I don't set it up so it tells me when to turn right and left.
Use like
a
sundial and a compass. And
well, I can just look at the map and go, okay, I can go here and here. I would say this. When Google first came out, they would send you to some of the stupidest places.
Yeah.
So I said, screw that. I'm not going to do that anymore. In fact, my two daughters, they like to use these apps where it tells them where to turn left and right, or shows them a little map and follow this route. They always send them off in some crazy direction.
Yeah.
And it's like, now they got to backtrack for a half hour. I said, no, don't do that. Here's the way to go. Ba, 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 ba.
Yeah.
And they at first did not listen to me. And Natalie, our youngest, one time was driving down to see her grandparents, my folks down in Riverside County. And she calls me up. She goes, Dad, I'm lost. And I'm like, where are you? And she goes, I don't know. I said, well, she was still driving. So I said, start saying the street names. And she'd say, okay, and she'd throw out a street
for
name.
the off-ramps, right?
Yeah, the off-ramps. Mm-hmm. I'd say, you're in Rubidoux.
Rubidoux.
She's like, Rubidoux? What is Rubidoux?
I've never even heard of Rubidoux.
Yeah, Rubidoux. It's like Riverside County.
Really?
Yeah, it's probably east of Riverside. And
it's not spelled how it's pronounced.
No, it ends with an X.
Sounds French, yeah.
Yeah, and so I'm like, okay, now, what were you following? She goes, and she tells me that she's doing one of these map things. I'm like, oh God, I told you not to do that. She goes, I know, I'm sorry. So no, what do I have to do? I have to close my eyes and say, okay, do a U-turn, go back on, connect to the 215, go south like you're headed to San Diego, and get her back on track.
Yeah.
But this is why I don't usually use that stuff. If it's Southern California, which pretty much is the only places I drive, I even know the Northern California and the Bay Area pretty well. But if I'm in those areas, I don't need a map.
Yeah,
because I know almost all the side streets and the freeways.
I just did a project down in Walnut, which I don't know that area really well. I mean, I drive through Walnut on the freeway, but as far as getting off the freeway, and we had an Airbnb in Montclair, and Montclair is supposedly right next to Walnut, but the way Google Maps took me was like, I must have been avoiding an off-ramp construction or something, because it had me go down a surface street like 8 miles.
Yeah.
And I'm in the middle of Montclair.
Was it Central Avenue?
No. It was obscure, like stop signs every 50 feet kind of street.
Because my in-laws live in Montclair. When we go down there, there's all these different ways to get there. Don't take the 10 or don't take the 60 when you can take either one.
Right.
And then that's one thing I do like about those types of areas. Not like here in Ventura. It's like you can stay on one street 4 miles and get to where you need to be.
Yes.
That is one cool thing about the perpendicular and parallel streets in LA and Riverside counties. But
I don't mess with those things.
Well, I want to know, does our audience, what do they do? Are they act, because I'm not saying this because you guys are of the older age demographic.
Older age.
But do other people do younger people have the same thoughts as you do? Or they're like, WAZE or die, or...
I'm sure and the other thing is, I'm sure there's something better out there. I just don't know about it. There could be something out there. Is there something we're missing?
Thomas guides. Thomas guides, baby.
The old Thomas guide. With all the pages.
Need the Thomas guides.
I mean, seriously. Yeah. I mean, if somebody's watching this and made it this far into one of our shows,
maybe 1 or 2 people,
exactly.
maybe.
And if there's an app you use or something you use that is like spot on every time, we'd love to know about it.
CJ, what is the app all the young people are using?
That's what I don't know. What is it? What is out there anymore? I don't know, because I don't pay attention.
My dad, who's a little bit older than you guys, he's all about WAZE. He's like, WAZE is this thing. And I can't stand WAZE.
I hate WAZE. WAZE has taken me in it's gotten me lost, and it's gotten me into traffic jams. And I hate WAZE.
I had to take it down to, I was working on the Grammys one year, and I had to take, this was years ago, and it took me down from Ventura. I ended up some bad neighborhood.
Boyle Heights and stuff.
Dude. I'm like, I'm in someone's backyard.
Get off in Boyle Heights and then make your way down to.
I know LA pretty well. I can get around LA, but I was like, I've been in neighborhoods. I was like, dude, I've never been here, and I never want to come back here. And WAZE, you can kiss my ass to save 7 minutes or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
that's why I don't use it.
I'm not a fan of WAZE.
But I'll say my Tesla navigation, spot on. It's great. I love it. And then Apple Maps, everybody tells me not to use it, but I just use it because it's just easy, and I just don't like Google, so
You don't use Google Maps.
I don't use. I mean, I have it, but because people send me.
Is it because we hate Google as an evil company, or is it just because you don't like Google
love
Maps?
Google because we're part of their algorithms and stuff like that. We
Oh,
love
I'm
Google,
sorry.
Dan.
I'm sorry.
God.
Chastise me appropriately. I'm sorry.
You just tried to drop us down a couple notches, I think, Dan.
Uh-oh.
Oh, boy.
Google, I was just kidding. I love you, Google. Google, I want to give you an open mouth kiss, okay?
I don't want to see that. But
That'll be ugly. That'll be scary.
I don't know for some reason. Well, I like GUI's graphic user interface, and Apple has a awesome graphic user. It's Apple, for God's sakes, you know.
Right.
But their Apple Maps isn't the greatest, you know. The Tesla one's way better than Apple Maps for sure. But I know Google's a little bit better with the navigation than Apple. I have friends that would literally never. It's like, send me the Helm. Helm's one of the guys. It's like, only Google. Send me Google's. I'm like, okay, whatever, dude. Can we just fucking get there? You know. So.
Oh boy,
that was a nice diatribe of a.
Yeah, I know.
That was a lot about driving and not specifically about cars.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's okay.
Anyways.
All right. Well, I feel lost right now.
Well, let's talk state of cars and so on. So, CJ, I was going to tell you, I was at a birthday party for a friend last night, talking to an old friend who I haven't talked to in a few years. And he was asking me about the show and everything, and I was telling him about it because he's a car guy, and so not hardcore, but I mean he rebuilt a Bronco and from the ground up like an old Bronco, and he started talking to me about his first car and favorite car was his Corvair Monza Spider.
Convertible.
And I went, what the hell is a Spider? I don't even know what a Spider. What's a Corvair Spider Monza or Monza Spider?
So Monza is the highest horsepower.
Okay.
And it came in 2
so
and 4 doors.
So it's like 62 versus 55.
Well, it depends. No, they had Monza through all the years, but they had the Gen 1, which was 60 to 64, and then they had the Gen 2, 65 to 69. But they had Monzas through the two.
Okay.
Spider just refers to convertible.
Oh, I've seen Corvair convertibles. Yeah. Right. And those,
so you'd have to find out if it was which generation. It was the first one, which is
his was late. His was late.
Okay,
I think he said like 66 or something, maybe 67.
Now those I think had 110 horsepower. I think.
Okay.
Most of those were. I mean, non-turbo was 110 horsepower.
Okay.
But those are good-looking cars. They're kind of sleeker looking than the Gen 1 box.
But that was back in the day when convertibles had no roll bar. They had no thing that pops up and so on. If you roll the car, you're dying.
Death trap.
Yeah.
You're done, right?
But the good thing is the Corvair wasn't fast, so you're not going to die.
Yeah.
Yeah, true. You're going, 55 miles an hour if you're lucky.
According to Ralph Nader, what you had to worry about was getting rear-ended.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was like the Pinto thing, right?
Or smashing the front end where the gas tank was into something. But but even that was proven wrong.
Oh, the gas tank's in the front on that because the engine's in the back, right?
The engine's in the back, gas tank's in the front.
So it's the opposite of the Pinto.
Exactly.
The Pinto blew up because the gas tank was in the back and it wasn't, cushioned or isolated well or something. And if you... I remember my...
If I was wrong and puncture it blows up.
Well, I think this came out in a previous episode. My first car in high school was a Pinto because that's all I could afford. And I remember friends telling me, like, oh, man, you're going to die in that car. You're going to die. No. Someone's going to rear end you at 5 miles an hour and it's going to explode and you're going to die.
Well, I mean, I sometimes feel that way driving in Beth's 61, which I drove here today.
Oh, you drove the Corvair today?
I drove the 61 Corvair. Okay. And because we got to put some miles on it, in fact, you're about to post something that we shot yesterday in it. Mm-hmm. Beth and I we're planning a trip in it.
Oh, okay.
The question is, how far do we go in that trip?
Yes.
And can your marriage survive that
trip? And will we die? I mean, are we going to take a Corvair halfway across the country, and are we going to prove Ralph Nader right? We're going to die in the 61 Corvair? I don't think so, but
let's hope not.
I'm more worried about this thing, dying on the 10 freeway in the middle of the desert, or something like that. That's what
in Barstow or Baker.
Yeah. Or, get up on the 40 freeway, which takes you, I think, across the upper tier through Flagstaff.
Yeah. There's some lonesome.
Texas,
there's some lonesome parts on that highway.
Some lonesome stretches. Yeah,
for sure.
So I mean, that's what I'm worried about. That's why we need a chaser truck. Do you want to drive the chaser vehicles to make sure that we survive this whole trip?
That depends on what the chaser vehicle is. What is the? Is it if it's your Porsche?
No,
maybe,
it's going to be. It's supposed to be a big pickup Duramax.
Something with air conditioning.
Like yeah, it's gonna be a big Duramax or something.
A Sprinter van with air conditioning.
There you go.
Oh, that Mitsubishi van. What was that thing called? The Delicia or something?
Oh yeah,
Delica.
Delica.
Is that what it's called? It's called a Delica.
A Delica. It's a Mitsubishi. It's like a mid-90s Mitsubishi Delica. It looks like a camper. Like
that was a U.S. market car.
I believe so.
A
I don't know
Delica?
much about it.
I don't.
Do you know much about those?
Are you sure that was left-hand drive? I thought that was a right-hand drive one.
Because I sold
No,
Mitsubishis.
it's a left-hand drive.
Oh, was it? Oh,
I'm
I
pretty
sold
sure, yeah.
Mitsubishis in the 80s, I think. Was it it was like the 80s, and I don't remember a Delica.
I think that must have been imported here because I've never seen those.
Maybe
ever,
that's
other than somebody importing them because you can't. It's old enough to import.
Maybe
now.
that's a JDM or a Singapore or
or could
Filipino market or something.
or it could have been from Australia because Australia had left-hand drive cars too.
Yeah.
And we're going to post that on socials too, right?
Yeah.
By the time this show airs,
post
it'll probably
everything.
be on there. But
We'll post everybody's dirty
Yeah.
laundry and all that stuff. You
Yeah.
know, I don't know.
Oh, I've got something I wanted to bring up with you guys because I went down a rabbit hole on this the other day. Okay, I'm not a car guy, right? Ostensibly, but I'm a truck guy.
we're going to get mail now.
And I've always thought the Holden Monero. Do you know what I'm talking about?
That's GM. Holden's
That's a
GM.
badass car. I mean, it's
a Holden what?
it's a Holden Monero, but they had it on Top Gear and they drove the snot out of it. It's when we were making the drifting movie, I think, and it's a drift mobile because there's no weight in the back. It's rear wheel drive,
Slides perfectly.
4 to 600 horsepower, and I'm like, that's nuts.
It's got an LS in it.
Yeah, it's awesome. So anyway, there was a guy, I saw a YouTube video, and he had a 2009 Holden Monero. How do you get that in the United States? How do you legally get that? And he legally got it.
Yeah, I saw one here in the States too as well.
Do you know how he got it?
No, I don't, because that's a really cool car.
Well, this is what I want to tell you. This is what's so cool about it. Okay, this guy figured out he's obviously a hardcore car guy. I'm going to buy a 2009 Pontiac G8 with the LS1 in it, the hot rod one. He bought it for like $13,000 or something, and it's a nice car, great condition. He said had a terrible Carfax, but nice condition car. And then he bought a body, the rear end of the Holden from Australia for like $5,000. Found that the front end was totaled, bought the rear end, brought it here, welded it, turned it into that in Indiana, and you can register it under any name you want. You can call it a C.J. mobile, it doesn't matter. And he registered it in Indiana as a Holden Monaro Ute.
Wow.
Actually, there's a company, now that you bring that up.
There's one in Colorado, he said.
Well, there's a company that's been doing this for years with Jettas.
Oh, really?
Because
to turn it into what?
into a pickup truck.
Oh, really?
Yes, because you get the 2.0 liter diesel, which is an amazing engine.
Yeah, as
right?
we all know. Yep.
And they made a crap ton of them.
Yep.
And you basically buy a Jetta, cut the back half of it out, and you put a pickup
Bed,
truck
extend
bed, and it actually looks really, really cool.
But what kind of truck? Like a Japanese truck?
No.
Like
It's still
or the Volkswagen truck?
You don't change the title. It's still a VW.
Right.
At the end of the day, you're just basically taking the rear section of it, the trunk and the rear
Right.
quarters and the doors off, and you're welding on this truck. It's basically it's a VW truck basically, but it's a newer Jetta. This company makes a kit to do all the all the
So you
swap.
get the bed from this company.
Yeah, it's still front
And
wheel
it
drive.
fits.
It doesn't change
All
the drivetrain. The drivetrain's all the same, but you have a small little Jetta pickup truck.
And they do the
But am
conversion.
I imagining things though that in the 80s or maybe 90s Volkswagen did sell a little truck?
They did.
Oh,
They did. In the 80s, they did.
Was it here in the U.S.
Yeah,
market?
yeah, I've seen
Yeah,
it.
I remember seeing those. So they're
There's
not
a rabbit truck.
a rabbit truck.
Yeah.
So they're not taking the rear end off one of those. They're
No.
just taking something they made. And
I think they
putting it
make
on?
they make the bed too. Yeah.
okay.
But it looks like once it's done correctly, it looks like legit. But most of the guys they use it for like a work truck, a Jetta. I mean, think about it.
Totally cool. Well,
A
it's just like
2-liter
it's
diesel
it's the
pickup truck.
Maverick. It's a Ford Maverick. Essentially, they're making
Yeah.
their own Ford Maverick, only a Volkswagen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And if you're looking for something that nobody else has, boom, you got it.
Yeah,
Probably looks
it's
good. Yeah.
it's actually a really cool deal. I just didn't want to get into something like that as I was thinking about it, but I didn't want a front wheel drive truck.
Well, you guys saw that one I sent you too, the Mercedes pickup truck from Argentina.
Yes.
I sent you that a little meme. I don't
Dan,
know.
the non-car
I
guy,
like it.
coming in with some
But see,
internet posts.
But it's
there.
a truck. It's a freaking truck, and I'm like a W123 truck. I would be
See,
all
W123.
over.
Who knows that?
Yeah. Well,
Who knows that?
Well, that's from Helm. Helm taught me that.
Well, you know, it's funny.
I
It's
know
10
the
o'clock
chassis
at night.
code.
I'm laying there. I'm like getting ready for the last minutes of my day, and all of a sudden, ding! Dan sends me a photo of like a Mercedes pickup truck.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, what's Dan doing up at this hour?
But see, the story is freaking interesting. Like in Argentina, they couldn't get the cars in, and farmers down there wanted them. So Mercedes of Argentina made these trucks out of W123s, and I'm like, that's so cool. Like,
wow.
So Dan hit the nail right on the head. and I'll give this at Dan's defense about being the quote unquote non-car guy.
Yeah.
So what got Dan all hot and bothered about that particular car was the story about the car.
Exactly.
Right? Okay.
Exactly. It's cool as hell.
Yeah. Now that I like. Yeah.
So, and this goes back to, and we have received a couple messages, and I think you forgot to mention the tip line in the beginning of the show.
Did I mention the tip line? I thought I didn't I?
No,
Did you?
no,
See,
you
that's,
didn't.
that's just
You
my
didn't.
old age.
Okay.
I don't think you did.
Well, I'll help you out here.
Okay.
So, we've been getting messages from our tip line and through DMs, but we prefer the tip line so then we all can read it.
Yeah.
Where people tell us their stories, and they just say a few words about. So we've had a couple people message us with some really, really interesting stories, and I can't wait to cover these stories. A lot of people with like life-threatening diseases or issues that they had that cars was a way for them to come out of this, and they're just, or they're car guys that had these life issues that, it's just, I thought it was super, super cool. And that's one of the things that I think we really need to keep stressing over and over and over to people, because we want them to feel comfortable. Your story is important.
Yeah.
What you have to say about your car story is important. Preserving that story is just as important, because when you die, the stories die with you. How else are you going to preserve these stories? So we want to encourage people, again, please share your story, whether it's with us or somebody else's. Preserve these stories and share them. But if you want to share them with us, please send us a message through our tip line on the website, westoftulsa.com/tip line.
I just thought about, this would be cool. What if we inspired people to shoot videos of them with their car explaining in a couple minutes why that car is so special to them. They send it to us. We'll pop it up here on the show.
If people will do
We
it.
could put it into the show.
If people will do it, I think that'd be cool.
I mean, until we can figure out the whole getting people in not live into the show, it's a good,
Or
good thing to do.
I mean, we can't always make it out to, Illinois or Ohio or whatever, but if they send it to us, we can pop it on
absolutely.
there. I think it's a good idea.
I really want to cover everybody's story. I mean, if we could physically do that, that would be amazing. Obviously, we can only do so much, but we want to encourage people to tell us a story. At least we'll share it on our socials, or share it on the show, or share it on the website.
Yeah.
Because
that's why we're here. That's why there is West of Tulsa. We only exist to tell stories of people and their cars and trucks and boats and motorcycles.
If you're looking for a Top Gear or Motor Trend review, this is not the place. As if you haven't figured it out already, we don't always know what we're talking about. But we do know people's stories, and we like telling stories. Especially about
hearing stories.
Yeah, we don't mind being corrected when we're wrong, right?
Not at all.
No, don't ever correct me, ever.
Just be nice. Just be nice.
Don't
about
talk to
it.
me.
You can correct everyone except Gabe.
Yes.
Helm, me, C.J, Beth.
I'm the government. I'm always right.
Yeah, you don't have to be a hater to correct us. Just say, hey, you're wrong.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. I would say it's impossible. It should be impossible to hate on somebody's story, because it's their story. If you don't like it, okay, I get that. But it's your story. You're the author of your story. If it's not true, that's on you. But
you're sounding suspiciously Tony Robbins like you're the author of your own destiny.
Do it now. Send us $49.95.
So you give Helm shit about that, so I'll give you shit about that. How's that?
You can try all you want, Dan.
The Tony Robbins line. I remember that.
Hey, I'll be the Tony Robbins. He did all right.
Yeah.
I'll be the Tony Robbins of the car story world.
There you go. You're the motivational speaker of the car world.
Yes,
right?
motivational. Absolutely.
It's a good word.
It's a great word, because I do feel, based off the people that we've talked to and people that we have gotten messages from, I want people to feel motivated to share their story. A lot of people are very shy about sharing their story because they think people don't care.
Like it's not a big enough story.
No, and if I could say this, all of us at the show, we care about the story, because that's why we're here. Like you said, Dan.
We find them interesting.
Absolutely.
Right.
I mean, think about it. We talked about WAZE for 10 minutes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
We'll take any story.
People probably clicked off at that point, but that's all right.
If anyone's still watching.
Exactly.
But maybe somebody's into WAZE. There's somebody that's into that stuff.
But it's interesting too. Like, remember when Christina was on? She was sitting in the chair you're sitting in, Gabe, and she was nervous and like, I don't know if people are going to want to hear about it. And we're like, no, bring it on. And she's a really interesting person.
And she's had a ton of response.
And her journey through cars was super interesting. Yeah. I mean, everything she's gone through, and she related it back to her kids and Subarus and her marriage and canyon cutting and all that. It was. We like hearing those stories for sure.
Absolutely. So if anybody's made it this far in the show or listening, please just head over to the website, drop us a line, share whatever's on the tip line.
Tip line on our website.
And just share your story. I mean, we'll get to it. There's no doubt about it. It's just, you may not be on the show, but at least we could talk about your story to other people, or put it on our blog, or put it on our socials, or whatever. Because
one of our highest rated shows was the Wagon Show.
Yeah,
and we didn't have people on; they just sent in submitted stuff, and we liked that show. Yeah. That was a cool show.
We need to do another. We got to find a more efficient way to do it, where we can get people to send us pictures and specs of their cars, and we can just talk about it. Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to figure out a new way to do it, but I want to do another one. Like, I want to do minivans. I want to do trucks. Definitely the Honda one. I want to do a Honda one. I mean,
well, like Craig's new car, his new Ferrari. I mean, there's a show right there, because that's an interesting car. I still think it's kind of bizarre looking and weird, but it's a cool car, definitely.
And people who've owned it love them.
And why did he get it? Why did he buy it? What's he going to do with it? What's the story behind it?
I think we partly inspired him, because I said, one of the questions I said, with your crazy collection, what's the one thing that's missing? And he goes, a Ferrari.
Then he goes and gets
one. And then he goes out
and then he goes and gets one.
Yeah. Although
wouldn't that be nice?
Although Dan was not you're not a huge fan of that particular the Ferrari.
I just think it's funky looking.
I love the way he said it too. He basically said it's ugly when he said it's not the most flattering Ferrari.
I did say that. Well, I was choosing my words carefully because I like Ferraris. They're beautiful cars. I mean, they're work of art.
Helm and I love the FF. I think that's an awesome Ferrari.
The FF, yeah.
It sounds amazing. Yeah. I think it's cool because it's definitely polarizing compared to the other Ferraris,
Yeah, for sure.
But I like it's different, and actually it has a lot of room compared to most Ferraris. So I'm not mad at it.
It's an interesting car for sure. It's an interesting choice for a single guy, I thought.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to get Craig back on here and tell him that you hate his car, and the rest of us like it.
But I didn't say I hate it. I just said I'm not a fan of it, but it's different than hate. Hate is a strong word.
Craig will take hate.
Hey, other polarizing cars over the history: '63 Corvette, split windows. People didn't like those.
Really? Was that I
have not met one person that doesn't like those.
Well, now they don't.
Well, yeah.
I mean, now they like them. Back then they didn't. Here's the problem: you couldn't see out of them. That split window, the windows were so tiny. So So Chevy actually came out with a modification, so you could modify. So a lot of the original 63s were modified to a solid back window.
Yeah.
So there was a pillar in between the two back windows.
Just the split. Yeah.
Okay. What was the split? Was it part of the
metal.
body?
Yeah. It was part of the hatch.
Yeah. So if you wanted to convert it, you'd have to hacksaw that out and put a different window.
But now guys are doing the exact opposite. They want to go back because the split windows bring in more money.
Crazy. Yeah. Do you know what year that happened?
63.
Okay.
It's the only year of the split one. They only did it 1 year, and that's because it wasn't popular.
Oh.
If it was popular, they would have kept doing it.
Okay.
But they weren't. And so 63 Corvettes. But now there were so few of them made. That's why
people always want what they can't have.
Exactly.
I love this. We're not experts on anything, but we just know some random facts.
Shit, yeah. Exactly.
Well, my grandparents had a pair of 66 Corvettes that I used to ride around in when I was a little kid. So I don't know a lot about them, but I remember being in them and going down PCH and going, wow, this is a badass.
Yeah.
427 manual, what, a 4-speed? Would have been a 4-speed?
Probably a 4-speed, I would imagine, 4-speed.
Because I remember my grandfather hitting it, flooring it, and pinning me back in the seat, and that was the first car that ever pinned me back in the seat, and I just went, whoa, oh my God, that's amazing.
I spoke to my uncle in Vero Beach, Florida last weekend. And he goes, I love the show you guys are doing. West of Tulsa, I watched every one of your shows. You put out 12 of them. And I'm like, whoa, good job.
Dang,
yeah,
he's our biggest fan.
He's our biggest fan.
Wow.
Yeah, my Uncle Eddie, and he's in Vero Beach, Florida.
My Uncle Eddie.
Uncle Eddie.
Yeah. And so I talked to him. He goes, I love the West of Tulsa. And in fact, you know what? I've got my photo. He goes, and some people think I'm funny for having it, but I got a photo of me with hair with my 64 Corvette. And I said, you got to send that to us because we got to put that up on the show. In fact, he's on our videos. You know the video we put together, it's like a trailer video that we shot, and you can see the classic car driving away. It looked like part of my dad's wedding.
Oh, yeah. I remember that clip.
It was my
Yeah.
uncle in that car.
Oh.
And I said, hey, by the way, have you seen the video that we have on our trailer? He goes, oh, my God, I watch it all the time.
Wow.
So he loves that video.
Well,
We
thank
gotta
you,
have him
Uncle
on the
Eddie.
show. Yeah.
Thank you, Uncle Eddie.
Yeah.
And if you're listening to this or watching this one, thank you.
And
no, he's watching, I'm sure.
And does he have a Winnebago? And does he wear a blue leisure suit, polyester?
Not that I'm aware. It's been a while since I've seen him.
He's not that Uncle Eddie.
But he's not. No, he's
Okay.
not. No, not from what was it? Vacation.
Vacation.
No,
Yeah.
that was Cousin Eddie, wasn't it?
Oh, was it Cousin
that
Eddie?
was Cousin Eddie.
Well,
not
to the
Uncle
kids, it was Uncle
Yeah,
Eddie.
okay.
Right.
This is Uncle.
Uncle Eddie.
Yeah.
Yes.
Shitter's full.
Shitter's
But he'll
full.
let me know. He'll let me know if he has a Winnebago. And now that you've asked the question, but
Vero Beach, Florida. I'd say there's a good chance.
that could be.
You know, older person in Florida, in Vero Beach. Yeah. Sounds like you could have one.
Could make a road trip to Vero.
Yeah, drive the Corvair to Vero Beach,
Oh,
Florida.
there you
That'll be
go.
impressive.
Yeah.
Let's
That'll be
start with
impressive.
Bakersfield.
That's what Beth says.
That's more
Let's
realistic.
go to L.A. first and see if we can make it
That's
there.
more
Oh,
realistic.
darn her and her sensibility.
Yeah. Speaking of her sensibility, we have to figure out what kind of where we'll air that show that she put that kibosh on, right?
Well, let's put it to the audience. Let's see if we get any engagement.
Yes,
to the
if
two
you've made
people.
it this far,
I gave a hint, so
so
know if we can do it or not.
If you've made it this far, in the comments of this video on YouTube, say that you want to see the Lost show, because if you don't want to see it, it's never going to be seen, and it is controversial. I will say that. Right, Gabe? Am I right?
I don't think it's controversial. I do think it's
Gabe, build the hype. Come on,
Nah,
man. Be a hype man.
And it has
Come
nothing
on.
to do with politics.
No.
It's all about anatomy.
Yes, anatomy. Exactly. Come on, Gabe. We're
I
trying.
think-
We're trying to
I
build
think
some
we
hype
gave
here.
enough hints.
We're
I
trying
mean,
to build some hype here,
Oh my
man.
God.
I'm gonna air the show. I don't care what you guys say. I'm just gonna do it when you guys aren't looking.
He's gonna hit publish, the hit publish
Yeah,
button.
we'll
right?
start a private YouTube channel and send it to everybody.
That works.
All right.
I don't want to overhype it. That's the problem.
I'll be the hype man for it.
Because people are gonna go, what? That was it?
That was
Is
it.
that what you guys are
All that
talking about?
brouhaha?
That's nothing. That's nothing.
I think it's no big deal.
All that brouhaha over nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else? We covered everything today.
Yeah,
It's-
It's been a good rambling
up in
show.
an hour.
Good rambling show.
Yeah.
We covered a lot
it
of
made
ground
no
here.
sense for almost an hour. Isn't that amazing?
People are gonna find it entertaining, or just they tuned out.
a lot.
People are going to
45
say,
minutes
people are
ago.
going to say, you guys need a guest because you're just talking about random shit that means nothing.
Well, it's the
or-
first time we've actually done this. We haven't had a show where we haven't had a guest per se or a topic to cover with a
But
trio
now
team.
it shows why we need one.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. People like, don't ever do this again, please. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, you guys have to have a guest every time. Yeah. All right. But we covered everything.
No, we're yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
We're coming up on an hour, so that's pretty good. All right.
Yeah, we
So the tip line, you mentioned it.
Yes.
If you have a story, go to our tip line, westoftulsa.com, click the tip line page and send in the information. We've had some good ones. In fact, we had one yesterday where a guy may join us in the next few weeks. So we'll let you know about that one. Also, like, follow, subscribe. We have our YouTube
Channel.
Thank you. And we thank you, and we'll see you west of Tulsa.